In 1873 Mississippi, a former Union soldier lost his farm in court. The trial lasted less than one afternoon. 3 days later, the farmer disappeared. No body was ever found. But years later, a sheriff's notebook revealed a single sentence about the case. Brooks was not buried. So what really happened to the man who refused to give up his land? Nearly a century later, in 1968, a historian searching through old county archives in Mississippi noticed something strange. One farm appeared again and again in property records from the 1870s, but according to official documents, the man who owned the land had vanished. His name was Isaiah Brooks. The deeper the historian searched, the more unusual the story became. In the early years after the Civil War, Isaiah Brooks returned to Mississippi, determined to build a different life. He had served as a Union soldier. When the war ended, he used his savings to purchase 80 acres of farmland along the Yazoo River. For the first time in his life, the land beneath his feet belonged to him. Brooks cleared the fields. He built a small wooden farmhouse. Rows of cotton began stretching across the rich Mississippi soil. Nearby, a simple one-room schoolhouse stood beside a dirt road where children from surrounding farms learned to read. For a brief moment during Reconstruction, the future seemed possible. But in 1873, powerful interests began looking at the same land. A railroad company planned to expand its tracks across Yazoo County. Survey crews began placing wooden stakes across fields and forests throughout the region. When the route maps were finished, one thing became clear. The most efficient path for the railroad cut directly across Isaiah Brooks's farm. Soon, a lawyer representing the railroad arrived with legal documents and a purchase offer. Brooks refused. At first, the pressure was subtle. Taxes on Brooks's property suddenly increased. Local officials began questioning whether his land deed had been filed correctly. Neighbors later said strangers rode slowly past the farmhouse at night, watching the land from the road. Within weeks, Brooks received a court summons. The railroad was challenging his ownership of the farm. The hearing took place inside a small county courtroom in Mississippi. Charles Whitmore, the railroad's lawyer, presented a stack of legal documents to the judge. Brooks tried to defend his claim to the land, but the trial moved quickly. Witnesses later said the judge barely spoke during the proceedings. By late afternoon, the decision was announced. The court ruled that the property would be seized. The railroad now had the right to build across the land. Neighbors later saw Brooks walking home from the courthouse along the dusty road beside his cotton fields. That evening, a lantern burned inside the farmhouse long after sunset. 3 days later, the house was silent. Brooks had vanished. No one saw him leave. No body was ever discovered. Within weeks, the railroad claimed the property. The farmhouse was demolished, and new tracks were laid across the land he once owned. Years later, while searching through forgotten county files, a historian discovered an old leather notebook once belonging to Sheriff Mercer. Inside the notebook was a short entry about the case. Only one sentence had been written beneath Brooks' name. Brooks was not buried. Another record surfaced from the following year. A border-crossing document from Canada listed a traveler named Isaac Brown. The man was described as a former Union soldier and farmer. He had arrived alone. No one has ever proven that Isaiah Brooks and Isaac Brown were the same person, but the timing has never been fully explained. Today, railroad tracks still run across that land in Mississippi. The farmhouse is gone. The cotton fields have long since disappeared. But the mystery remains. Did Isaiah Brooks escape north and begin a new life under another name? Or did something happen on that farm that no one ever recorded? Some stories in history leave only one trace behind. A single sentence in a sheriff's notebook. Brooks was not buried.